Hey everybody, and welcome back to another GMRC VTR layout build update. This one's going to be rather short. I don't actually have a whole lot to show you on this layout update, but I've got a few things I think you might find interesting, so let's take a look. Okay, so we're at the Chester module, and I wanted to show you what I've been working on since the last update. Now, it took me about 3 attempts around the entire layout to get the color that I wanted, or relatively close to the color that I wanted for the track work, but I think I'm just about there. I really wasn't happy with the blend of colors that I had before, so after those 3 attempts, I think I'm finally happy, or at least happy enough. So if you take a look, you can see it's much darker than it was previously. It almost looks black on the camera, but it's not quite black. There's some reddish brownish tones in there, and those are kind of blended in, but I think it's going to look just fine once I've got ballast and some other effects on there. It's not exactly what I was going for, but you know what? I think it's going to be okay. So I did the same thing to the truss bridge. I went back and I put some more powders on there and I detailed it a little bit more because again, I just wasn't happy with it. After finally doing it, I don't even know, that must have been the 4th time. I think I finally got it to where I want it. At least I hope so. So up next on the list of things that I've accomplished over the last month or so is the revamping of the lift gate. So I had never made a lift gate before, and it was a process for sure. It didn't quite line up, especially to the left side, but after some revamping and reconfiguring, I finally got it to where I want it. I also had to go ahead and redo the wires underneath. The way that they connect into the terminal strips down below was not working. They kept getting snagged. So I had to go ahead and make some changes. So here's a little close-up here of what that looks like. The wires come in from the top and kind of wrap around and then connect into this terminal strip here. They kept getting snagged and it was just a real pain in the butt. I couldn't come up with any good solutions. I thought about getting some connectors off of Amazon or trying something like that, but it wasn't gonna work. I couldn't find anything that I thought would solve the issue. So I went ahead and just made some longer segments of wire and fed them in through the port just to make that work, at least in the short term. I don't really have any updates on this bridge scene here for the truss bridge. Earlier I did apply some additional AK Terrains concrete just to smooth out a few areas. I need to go ahead and touch it up a little bit more, but I think I'm just gonna wait this part out. I need to get some better ideas here about how to enhance this area. I'm not 100% sure I'm liking it. So for now, I'm just going to get it situated enough to where I can get the truss bridge to sit in there, get it reconnected to the main line, and then be able to run some trains. So I did make some progress on this stone arch bridge. I went ahead and painted it, actually twice. I couldn't get the colors the way I wanted, but I finally got it, I think, to a place where I'm happy. However, after thinking about it, I'm just not sure I want to go with a piece of foam, a hand-carved piece of foam for this bridge. I did find something online, I believe it's by Walthers. It's a couple of stone arch bridge segments that you can piece together to make a stone arch bridge. I may or may not go with that, I'm not entirely sure. For now, I'm just going to keep this here as a placeholder so that I can run trains. And then after I finally come up with a solution, I'll move forward with the idea. But for now, I think it looks okay and I'm going to keep it here. So after I decide which bridge I want to go with, whether it's the pre-made one or this foam bridge, I need to think about what I'm going to do with this scene moving forward. My original thinking was to place a power station or dam, hydroelectric plant, at the top of this canal, adjacent to the road. So the road that you see behind that Vermont rail locomotive is going to curve between the engine house and the power plant. It would certainly be very tight, but it would be doable. I wanted to add something different that you wouldn't find on the prototype, and I was really drawn to the idea of a hydroelectric plant. But right now it's just an idea. I may just blend in this river or this canal into the tree line somehow if I can figure it out. But that's another project for the future. So the most notable change on the layout is the addition of some new 3D terrain aspects, notably these hills, or mountains, depending on what you want to call them. I started working on these a while back, probably a couple months ago, and then set the project aside and didn't do much with it. But today I decided to put these up on the layout so I could see what it looked like, and hopefully give me some ideas on how I can move forward with building the mountains. So my plan is to create some rock faces along the tracks in the North Walpole yard. It's a little bit closer than I'm going to have it to these tracks, but at least gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. That spur track extends down there to those other hills, and then the main line wraps around. One thing I'm not crazy about is this hill here in the front. I've got it split exactly where the module joint is, but I'm not sure that that's going to be a good idea or not moving forward. I do like how this sort of hides the main line a little bit and gives the train a place to go, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that idea or not. The hill in the back corner I feel like could definitely be larger. I've got 3 layers right now, but I feel like I can bring it up higher and sort of fill in that corner a little bit more and allow it to blend in with the mountain in the backdrop. Right now I just feel like it's too small and doesn't fit in the scene well. One thing I'm not crazy about is the color of the rock work on the backdrop. I'm thinking about blending this in or hiding it with some of my own sort of DIY rock faces with the casting plaster, but I'm not exactly sure. I guess I could also extend that little segment of the rock wall there and have it meet up to the hill in the corner, but I'm not entirely sure. Then the other thing is that little hill, that little mound in the center. I just sort of created that with some scrap foam, but I don't think I'm going to keep that there. This is the last section that I worked on. I just used it to kind of fill in this corner here next to where the truss bridge goes, the Connecticut River. I wanted to create a road here that sort of climbs a hill and goes off into the distance with a rock wall adjacent to the tracks, adjacent to the main line. I think it sounds like a cool idea, but I'm just not sure if this is going to look good. I'm going to have to think on that idea a little bit more. So the last thing I wanted to show was just a quick little snapshot of this drafting chair, this drafting stool here that I have. This was a gift from my fiance, so shout out to her. Thank you very much for this. I'm always on my feet working on the layout, and as you can see, that concrete floor down below, not the most comfortable thing to stand on. So she secured this drafting chair for me, and it is extremely comfortable. It's going to make operating sessions a lot more enjoyable in the future. So moving forward with the layout build, I'm going to be tackling a few basic projects, nothing too exciting. The first being I'm going to paint all the foam. And yes, I should have done this before even laying the track, but I didn't even think of it at the time, and then I got too deep into the track work, only to realize, hey, I forgot to paint the baseboards. So that's going to be a little bit of a pain to work around the track. I'm not going to paint underneath them. I'll get as close as I can, I guess, to the rails, but I'm not going to worry about underneath. So that's going to be a project. Then the next one is going to be painting the fascia. And I'm trying to decide between black or the typical green, I guess a dark green, I don't know what shade of green it would technically be, but it's going to be one of those 2 colors. So I'm going to be tackling that as well. So it's been about a year since I started working on this layout. I believe I started working on it in the last week of December of 2024 or the first week of January 2025. But I've definitely accomplished a lot in just a year's time. Most of the projects, if not all on this layout, are new to me. I'd never started with L-girder bench work or creating curved fascias or working with frog juicers and all the wiring that this entailed. All of that is new. The lift gate, as I mentioned before, that's new to me. Everything is new, but it's been really enjoyable. Well, mostly. There has been some frustrating moments, but I've enjoyed it every step of the way regardless. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's coming this year. Again, it all depends on work schedule and that sort of thing. With the train show coming up, I usually pick up some interesting things for projects in the future and so forth. So I'm definitely going to be sharing that with you in the coming weeks. Probably a month if I had to guess, just based on the current work schedule. So definitely be on the lookout for that video. As always, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you.